9:30 on a Monday morning. Glad you're with us on ARC Florida. I'm I-Team Chief Mike Magnoli, and next week is the election. Regular viewers of our show know that I visit the sofa to present Justice on the Ballot, a live interview segment with political candidates in local races that deal with law and order. Sheriff Ric Bradshaw has been the top lawman in Palm Beach County since 2004. This is his 5th time running for re-election. He's a registered Democrat. Sheriff Bradshaw is with me now on the sofa to answer some questions. Sheriff, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
I want to talk about election security, okay? The feds have recently announced that they foiled the plot of an Afghan national in Oklahoma. This was a guy apparently was trying to carry out some kind of terrorist act on Election Day. So my question for you, sir, is, given that things are so contentious and kind of crazy in this political cycle, what is the sheriff's office doing to ensure that there's going to be election security and election integrity when people go to the polls? Can you speak to this, to people's safety?
Yeah. First of all, because we're still in charge of Homeland Security for all of South Florida, our intelligence gathering network is really very, very well. We run the Fusion Center. So we get intelligence information from FBI, CIA, Department of Defense, you name it, all right? So if there's any ostensible threat, we'll be able to understand what it is and take action. But in the meantime, we work very well with Wendy Link from Supervisor of Elections. We have deputies that are not stationed at each poll, but make regularly visits there. We actually arrested a guy the other day for voter intimidation.
Oh, really?
And it was an enhanced hate crime. The guy was targeting a Jewish candidate.
Oh, wow.
So we were able to get him and charge him with that. So we're on the ball game. We understand what's going on. If we have actionable intelligence, we'll do what we need to do. But right now, we're just paying attention at the polls, and if the poll workers have a complaint or they feel uneasy, we're right there.
Sheriff, let's talk about former President Trump, okay? Because there are 2 scenarios here that I want to talk with you about. Number one, he becomes the president again, and Mar-a-Lago is the winter White House. And you know that the threats against him are at an all-time high. Here's another scenario. Let's say that the result is not known on Election Day, but the Trump camp is going to make Mar-a-Lago their home base. Let's say there are legal battles that are playing out across the country, and you have Trump, maybe the next president, maybe not, in a holding pattern here in Palm Beach County. What is the sheriff's office going to do in terms of his protection and in terms of if the country is sort of on standby? We don't know what the decision is going to be. Will you speak to those scenarios, Sheriff Bradshaw?
He's at the highest level of security you can get. We have enhanced some things, especially at the golf course. The Secret Service asked for more assets there. Mar-a-Lago is exactly what he had when he was the President of the United States. It's locked down.
Okay.
And it will stay like that until the results are in and it's official, however long that takes.
Okay.
All right, so it's going to be locked down and safe, and he will have the presidential protection that he needs, even at the golf course, until somebody says, okay, you're not the president anymore, and then the Secret Service will make a decision on what the footprint will be.
I want to talk about the golf course incident. You've already mentioned it a couple of times in this conversation. Right now, Governor DeSantis and Ashley Moody are suing the Department of Justice because the governor says DOJ is not letting the state of Florida do their own investigation on the Ryan Ruth situation. You know, Governor DeSantis said he wanted FDLE to do an independent probe and to look into it. I know that your agency would not be involved in the investigation part of this.
Right.
But I'm interested in how you feel and your opinion on this. Do you think that Florida should be allowed to do an independent investigation?
Well, the answer really is why not? There's nothing to hide here. I talked with the governor. I gave him my pledge that we would be completely open and honest and give him all the information we need.
Sure.
We work very well with FDLE. So, you know, the federal rules and guidelines are an entirely different animal. And I don't know why they're bucking up against this like they are, but that's going to be a legal battle between the state and the federal government. But I don't have a problem with it at all. What we did is open to anybody that wants to look at it, and my pledge to the governor was we'll cooperate.
Let's turn the page here. Let's talk about the challenges of being the sheriff in Palm Beach County, set to the backdrop of the immigration crisis in the United States. This has been very challenging work for you. Talk about the next Sheriff Ric Bradshaw term. What ideas do you have about dealing with immigration, and what can you do?
Well, again, going back to the fact that we have that Homeland Security for all of South Florida involved with this. Look, you can't put a fence out here at the ocean. We're the fence.
Yeah.
Right? So we do an awful lot to stop the people from even touching the land here. And we get about 90-something% of them. Once in a while, one will sneak through. Now, why is that important? It's important because if we stop them on the ocean and we give them back to the Coast Guard, they don't come here. They don't get a gift card. They don't get a cell phone. They don't get to stay in some luxury place, right? They go back to where they came from. It's important for two reasons. Number one, most of them are sick. You know, they got disease from where they came from because the medical facilities there are not as good as they are here. So we don't want them to get into the county when we're trying to make ourselves healthy and revive ourselves after COVID. The other thing is they get into the county, they start chewing up resources from the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations that our citizens need.
Okay.
All right, so it's an important reason for them not to get here. Now, the downside is with immigration in total is that people that cross illegally from the border make their way to South Florida. They don't stay where they were at in Texas. We've had 4 incidences of people that have illegally entered this country and committed crimes here. The latest one you know about was the guy that was on bond from New York for attempted homicide.
Yes.
He was arrested in New York, in Miami and got out. I mean, my first question was, why is he out walking around? He was deported once, snuck back through the border, so if they're vetting people there that they say they are, then he wouldn't have been walking around. So you can believe one thing, he's not getting out of my jail. We got a hold of ICE, there's a detainer on him, we went in front of the judge, and the judge says no bond. But that's an example, along with the other 3, of how the border in Mexico can affect other communities.
Sheriff, as I'm hearing you talk about this, I'm thinking back to a moment ago when I was doing the intro there. You're running as a Democrat. Mm-hmm. Is it hard to run as a Democrat and talk about these border policy issues and immigration issues? I'd like to pick your brain about that.
Yeah, not in the slightest.
Okay.
Because when I make decisions, I don't make them based on Republican or Democrat. I tell people I got an S after my name, Sheriff. When it comes to your safety and the safety of the people who live in this county, my decision-making process has nothing to do with Democrats and Republicans. My first thought is, what is it that I'm going to do that makes your life and the life of your family safe in this county?
There's a public safety issue that the I-Team has been covering these past couple of months in a partnership with CBS 12 News and Espanol. Mm-hmm. Prostitution in Lake Worth. These brothel houses, we're looking at them on the screen right now. Some of them are in suburban neighborhoods where you have families with kids. And Sheriff Bradshaw, our investigation has turned up that a lot of these places are run by the same group. In the next Sheriff Bradshaw term, what can you do to really run these folks down and run them out of town?
It's part of the human trafficking system, which we're working on. That latest arrest is part of what we do. We're in partnership with the federal government for targeting human trafficking. Sometimes it's a very, very hard thing to uncover because the young girls that are involved are usually runaways or they're afraid to report it themselves. So we have to have a tip from the public like we just got with that one.
Yeah.
But that is something that we work on every single day. It's a federal task force. And, you've got gangs involved in this. Like this one guy, he's a Venezuelan gang member. We know that there's Venezuelan gangs already in Miami. They're not going to just stay there. They'll be back and forth. So part of our emphasis is strong on gangs, and the other part's the human trafficking, which will address that.
Turning the page here, and this is something that I think a lot of folks that work under your command would like to ask you. It goes back to the pandemic. Sheriff Bradshaw, you were very outspoken that everyone in the sheriff's office get the vaccine. And there were some folks that wore a badge, wore the uniform. They didn't want to be forced to do that. The Supreme Court made a decision about individuals and their medical freedom.
Yeah.
Sheriff, if you could go back and do anything over again relative to the pandemic and the vaccines, would you?
Well, in that time period, right, I have to rely on medical experts. So the information was that, number one, officers, nurses, doctors, people dealing with the public all the time needed to get vaccinated, right? Not only for their own safety, right, but for the safety of people they're going to deal with all the time. The second thing is, I didn't have any information to make me believe that it wasn't safe for them to do it.
Sure.
Right? So for their own good and the good of the safety out there, I mean, you know, I can't have a bunch of deputies that can't come to work because they haven't been vaccinated.
Yes.
Right? Because the county policy was, that's what this is going to be, mask, vaccinations.
Yes.
Right? And I volunteered very first one,
I know
if
you
you
did.
remember. I said, I'll volunteer, first one, I'll go in and get it myself to be an example of it. Now, if it happened again and I had information to the contrary, where it says, you know what, there's no real information to say that the vaccine can help you or not, I think the mandate wouldn't be there. But at that point in time, that information didn't exist.
I hear you. I just remember talking to some of your deputies and some folks under your command, and this was happening all over the country,
Yeah.
Sheriff. As
Yeah.
you know, this wasn't unique to the
Right.
sheriff's office, but people were very adamant that they wanted to be in control of their medical decisions. That was a hard time for everybody.
Yeah, well, and I get it. I really do. I understand that. But sometimes the greater good of what we do outweighs some personal goals.
I understand.
And that was a decision for the larger good, not only of the agency, but for the public.
Sheriff, I think this is my last question with you. The producer says I got maybe 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Is there a case that you can think back on, an unsolved case that you would like to see brought to completion in your next term?
Absolutely. And that's the Boca Mall killings. That young mother and the young child in there haunts me to this day.
Yes, sir.
I can tell you right now, our cold case people are working with Boca Raton every day. Hopefully, you know, we've made such great progress with DNA and tracing it back. I'm hoping, against hope, that we can trace this back and come up with something, because, you know, with a young child like that to be murdered for no reason at all, that haunts you all the time.
Yes, sir. I know a lot of people in the community want to see that one
Yeah,
solved too.
absolutely.
And I know that must weigh on you very heavily.
It does. It does. Anything involving kids or dogs, you know, they're so helpless and innocent that when they become victims, it bothers you.
Yes, sir. Do you predict that it is brought to a completion in your next term? Do you feel like you guys are close?
We're closer than we were. Let's put it that way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a pleasure to talk to
Well,
you.
thank you.
Good luck next week.
My pleasure.
And I'll see you on election night.
Yeah. We're going to have something at the airport. Hilton. Stop by. I think we're going to do pretty good. I really do.
We're going to talk to your opponent tomorrow, though. It's
Okay.
not over yet, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen. We'll be right back after this.